Fallout Equestria Child of the Stars, Chapter 7, Part 3. The next few cabinets were glass. On my second try, my forehoof broke through the majority of them, the shards falling to the tiled floor as I did so. Inside was another pair of healing potions, a set of magical healing bandages, some dash, med-X, and plenty of Radaway, all of which I swiftly commandeered. A moment later, and I found myself peering through the second door, into what appeared to be a large office. On the floor was a clean red carpeted lined with a gold run around its edge. Almost every wall was bookshelves, the one exception being to my left, where the wall was instead one big window, angled slightly into the ceiling of the room below. It allowed the office a clear view of what appeared to be a white-walled operating theater. In front of the wide window were a tall office chair and a large wooden desk supporting a terminal. All of it still shimmered with polish, as did most of the wooden bookshelves. The only other breaks in the wall were a set of large wooden doors to my right, and opposite of me, where the shelves sunk back, forming what looked like some sort of alcoholic beverage station, a clean mirror on its back edge. A white-coated mare with a light blue mane donning light blue dragon scale barding looked back from the shimmering surface, and I jumped at the sight, only to have my mind laugh at me as I settled.
Yeah, laugh it up, Brain. You're certainly not a ghost,
I groaned, pushing the unlocked door open. It wasn't hard to surmise that private medical room was intended for the pony who owned this office. Even now, almost after 2 centuries, the room smelled clean and well-maintained, like no pony has ever been here since, well, forever. Just like the ghost story. One break in the cleanliness threatened to topple the story's believability, however. The carpeted directly before the desk was stained in a pile of gray ash, the likes of which still glowed with a faint orange hue. I stopped as it caught my eye. It sure didn't look like any magical energy weapon residue, and I should know. The color was off, yet there was something else. It was in the almost perfect shape of a pony, even its head was visible. The pony had their mouth open and most of their pained expression was silhouetted against the bright red carpet, as if they'd been blasted into the floor. Either some pony was vaporized laying down, and by a really fast disintegration firearm to boot, or this was something else. Regardless, there was nothing I could do about it now, other than hope that the pony lying dead before me wasn't a monster, and therefore undeserving of such a horrific fate. Still, staring at it made me feel weary, just like that strange set of imprisoned armor, as it felt as if the ash were angry and trying to drill that impression into my head. With that, I swiftly turned tail to the glowing pile and moved around behind the desk. Looking out of the window, I could see a wide hexagonal chamber lined with pure white walls. The roof was also white, the angled panels that formed it all converging on a flat section directly above the center, as did the angled office window. Beneath the central tile was a surgical table, thankfully empty. Around it sat a whole manner of expensive medical equipment, ranging from syringes and drips to medical terminals and overhead spotlights. Around the room, the same scene played out as many more spare medical machines sat silently. I gave the scene a curious look over before I turned to the terminal on top of the desk, only to find it locked.
Oh, so now you want a password?
I groaned sourly, sitting on the high-class office chair and removing my helmet with a flash of my horn.
Fuck you, password,
I hissed to myself, rotating the chair after only 3 failed attempts. That was when something else caught my eye. A pair of buttons on the back of the desk, one was labeled Assistance, and I quickly realized that I wouldn't be getting that anytime soon, and the second was labeled Overseer. I leaned back thoughtfully. Systems fully functional under stick of the Overseer's command, I recalled from the upstairs terminal.
Who the fuck was the Overseer?
Curiosity then got the better of me, and leaning forward, I tapped the button with a forehoof, and nothing. Nothing happened. I pressed it again, and once again, there was nothing. My expression fell flat as did my ears. I slouched back against the thick cushions of the chair. What was I expecting? Tea and biscuits? No, not even this place was that friendly.
Greetings. I'm the Overseer, Governor, and caretaker of this facility.
I almost sent the chair collapsing backward through the observation window as the sudden voice sounded. My legs straightened stiffly, catching onto the underside of the desks, and stopping me before I could swing too far back. My head swiftly swiveled in that direction of the abrupt sound, and there to my left, I saw a strange levitating device about the size of my head. It had no rockets or engines and no obvious magic. It just seemed to float there, effortlessly. I looked for all instinctive purposes like a metallic flower, 4 major metallic plates surrounding a glowing orange core like petals, each twitching and shifting as if imitating expressions. As for the core, It was an orb, almost like a memory orb, yet it was glowing with a bright light that focused onto one point within the glistening surface, almost like an eyeball. A light, a high-pitched hum emanated from behind it, as it bobbed like some sort of overly expensive sprite bot.
Yeah, I managed to sneak up on you like that one too.
My mind grumbled. My initial surprise fading, I could do nothing but stare at the thing as it hovered happily, anticipating my response.
Hello?
I said skeptically, waving a hoof tentatively. The metallic framework shifted as if to imitate a more gleeful expression.
Greetings. It would seem that you have arrived at the specified location. I do hope your experiences was enjoyable.
The hovering robot explained, its central light flashing with each syllable of its happy tone, the likes of which was almost identical to that of the presentation screens upstairs. Then the thing's words actually hit me. Wait, what was it saying? I arrived at the specified location, and no, the trip was not enjoyable at all. I looked away, sinking back into the chair. That was just another useless bucket of bolts. All I was gonna do was find my friends, and then we were getting out of this stupid place. I sank further down as I realized that that may take a significant amount of time, especially if I continue to lounge about like I was.
Please excuse my interruption, but you are not to accompany me to this catalyst chamber?
The hovering robot asked cheerfully. My head turned lazily.
What?
I asked dryly. It mocked a smile with its shifting frame before continuing.
Indeed, although I have to admit your sudden presence was unexpected.
My ears perked up, and a budding curiosity was born from the metal plane, consisting of boredom and a deep concern for Cherry. Firstly, what was he expecting? Second, did he know how to get out? And a rather trivial third, was this thing the damn prissy ghost? Really, this thing?
What do you mean?
I asked curiously, setting up. His mockery of an expression turned to shock, and I'd actually made a robot shocked. Well, there was one thing I never saw myself doing.
You are an optimal candidate for the revival of this project, are you not?
She asked curiously. I couldn't help but smile, albeit skeptically. I felt my curiosity blossom further. I essentially didn't recall being the pony she described, yet she intrigued me.
Say I am this, candidate.
I explained thoughtfully, rolling a hoof into the air generally. All I was hoping was that I may be able to trick her into showing me the way out if I played along.
So, what does that mean?
I added, leaning towards him.
I will admit, at first speculation, I was unable to understand the lack of knowledge regarding the project. Every potential candidate has displayed a lack of acknowledgement as of late. Such a thing is strictly against regulations, and even so, I thought I made the discretion quite clear to them with the limited system still functioning, as I did to you.
She explained, her confusion only seeming to grow. My budding curiosity wilted as I lost her. Her directions? Wait, the upstairs terminal, the lights. Ah, my mind suddenly clicked.
Wait. The terminal screen upstairs, the light trail? That was you?
I asked abruptly. The levitating orb hovered closer, bobbing in the air as if to nod.
Indeed, my protocol dictated my response. You are an optimal genetic candidate. You are in fact a closer match to Subject 2 than any of those that have preceded you. The bypass systems made sure of that, explicitly.
She explained eagerly. Well, as eager as a robot could be. I raised an eyebrow, but she made it perfectly obvious that she, overseer as she called herself, was controlling the overly friendly security system. That also meant that she'd separate us. My wonder flared red, and I felt like an overweening urge to use one of my spark grenades, the one that involved killing robots specifically. She took her away from me. I stood up sharply, stepping down from the chair and my magic ready to draw any number of guns from their holsters.
You split us up. What did you do with her?
I growled accusingly, stepping up to her. The mechanical construct lacked any concern, she just merely floated back slightly. The only thing that was holding me back were her words. Optimal genetic candidate? I was curious, and by the goddesses, that was a death sentence, but damn it, I was so curious. Curious enough not to turn her into ash just yet. Not only that, I couldn't help but feel that fact was the only thing distinguishing me from the ponies he'd seemingly gunned down upstairs. The metal plates around her eyes suddenly shifted to an expression that looked uncomfortably sympathetic.
I assure you, no harm was intended. Circumstances merely displayed the possibility that your progress may have been hindered. Sensors indicate all internal life signs are currently unharmed.
she explained in the same charismatic tone as if the whole thing was a little concern to her. I bit back my retort, stomping a forehoof into the carpet. She split us up because I was being too slow for her? What the fuck was so important?
Take me to them, now.
I growled dangerously. Once again, the bobbing ball appeared confused, like I should know exactly what she was trying to say and just not question it.
You are an optimal candidate for the continuation of the project. Allowing you to depart with the most basic consultation would be against regulations,
she explained, hovering over to my side. I left an eye lingering on the orb as she hovered to my left, around my tail, and then by the saddle blaster leaned against my right. It felt as if she were double-checking her accusation, doubting herself. Funny. I never knew a robot could do that. Regardless, she didn't seem as positively chummy as her irritating voice might suggest. A moment of the robot's strange lust for eye candy later, and its sole eye appeared before me again. She clearly didn't understand the concept of personal space.
What project?
I asked, stepping forward firmly and forcing her to hover back as I did so.
Well, Project Destiny, of course,
she stated condescendingly, as if everything above in my little life I should know what that meant.
Project Destiny? What the fuck was that supposed to mean?
My mind went over the thousands upon thousands of things I could remember from years in the wasteland, and not once had something like this crossed me. I met Overseer with the same clueless expression, the notion seeming to unsettle her further. Only after all that did she finally seem to get it. I had no fucking idea what she was going on about.
This revelation is indeed unexpected, if not predictable. However, I'm still to proceed as protocol dictates,
she stated dryly before moving over to the double doors opposite the desk. My eyes floated as the humming buzz of the orb swiftly darted across the room. She was like a smart metal and overly cheerful bloat sprite, minus the foul image, smell, and also strange habit of shooting barbs at anything that moved. More so, she'd failed to answer my question or act upon my request. Did she know that I had at least 3 barrels that were eager to meet her if she didn't take me back to my friends? Then there was my more shameful confession, she still had me intrigued. I'll admit I was kinda naive, and I knew if Star were here, he'd be holding me back. But, if nothing else, I was gonna find out what was so important, that it was worth splitting us up over so calculatedly.
Please do follow me,
the Overseer invited the door opening for her as she moved through. I turned and steadily retrieved my helmet, and beginning to trot over to the door, I graciously avoided the pony-shaped scorched stain on the carpet and made an effort to have my magic wrapped around my saddle blaster at all times. Very few ponies in the wasteland were friendly, even fewer of the robots were friendly. The way I saw things, fewer still were so friendly before the war.